Hi students, welcome back. In this tutorial we're going to continue our discussion on the basic synthesizer architecture, and we're going to focus on envelopes, what envelopes are, and the most common types of envelopes, which are called ADSR. Envelopes are by definition how sound develops over time. How long does the sound take to reach its full volume? How long does it take to decay? That type of thing. When we're talking about envelopes, we're talking about usually a specific unit of time. How long does it take for a sound to develop? The most common type of envelope is called an ADSR, and that stands for attack, decay, sustain, and release. Attack is defined as how long it takes before we reach full volume or the highest level. Decay is how much time does it take to go from the fullest or the highest level or the loudest part of the sound to the sustain level. Sustain is a little different. We'll come right back to that one. Release, again, is how much time does it take from when the key is released. So from key release to silence. You can see all these are based on time. The only one that is not is the sustain. Sustain is based on loudness or level. Okay, so when we talk about sustain, we aren't talking about a measurement of time. We're talking about a volume level. Let's do a diagram quickly then of an attack, decay, sustain, and release envelope. So there's my line. Along the horizontal axis, we'll say it is time, seconds. How long does it take? So here is when we first hit the key on the keyboard. How long does it take from when we first strike the key to get to full volume? And we could diagram that. And it's going to be some amount of time. So if it is a quick attack, it's going to take a short amount of time. So something like that. So from here to there, that amount of time. If it is a longer attack, it might be something like this. So this distance from here, there to there. So this is going to be our attack or attack time. Our decay, we said, was how much time it takes to get from this full volume or full loudness level to the sustain level. So it's how long is it going to take us to go from there to where we start sustaining. So it could be a short decay, could be a long decay, however we decide to do it. But again, it's a measurement of time. How long is it going to take to go from here to here? That's our decay phase. So from here to here, how much time is that going to take? Now remember I said the sustain level sustain is an actual level. It's not amount of time. The reason for that is the time is determined by how long we hold the key down. So if we hold the key down for a short period of time, our sustain is going to be a short period of time. But the level is going to remain constant based on how we have it set. Sustain is a function of level, not a function of time. The time is relative based on how long we hold the key down. And the final parameter is the release. How long does it take from when we release the key? How long does it take until it goes to silence? So there to there. Again, a unit of time measurement. Attack, how much time to go to full volume. Decay, how much time to decrease down to the sustain level. The sustain level is how loud will our keyboard sustain after its initial attack phase. So the loudness, not time. And then the release is when we release the key, how long does it take for the sound to go to silence? All right, so let me demonstrate this to you real quick. No, it's not very pretty. It's a saw square wave, so a combination of a saw and a square wave. All right. Now here is our envelope. This envelope is assigned to the volume of this synthesizer. So we can start playing with the attack, decay, sustain, and release. Right now, it has a very, very short attack. It's almost vertical if we were to draw that. It has no decay, basically. The sustain level is at full, and the release is immediate. So if we were going to diagram this waveform, or this ADSR envelope right now, it would look something like this. Okay, an immediate attack, so it'd be straight up. It has no decay, and then it immediately goes to the sustain level, and then it has an immediate release. And that's kind of what it sounds like. It immediately goes on, holds a level, and then immediately goes off. Now, if we were to take and give it a little bit of attack, so lengthen out the attack, again, no decay and just a sustain level, and then a longer release, would look more like that. And that would sound a little bit more like this. Okay, so I got a second and a half of attack and roughly a second and a half of decay. Let's try it again. So I'm pressing the key, full volume, sustaining until I release it. I'm holding it, now I'm going to release and to silence. So that's how this diagram would look. Let's go ahead and make some diagrams showing some decay. So if we have an attack that's maybe 1 second attack from here to here, and then we have a decay that's maybe 1 second to here, and then we have a lower sustain level, and then we have maybe a 1 second release. Let's listen to that. So you can hear it goes up. So it's 1 second to go to full volume, and then 1 second to come down to the sustain level, and then it sustains as long as I'm holding the key, and then when I release, 1 second to release. Release. Again, press, decay, sustain, release. You can see the meters over here. So attack, decay, sustain, and then release. You can make that even more dramatic by bringing the sustain level down further. Attack, decay, sustain, release. Bring it down even more. Attack, decay, sustain, release. Now what happens if we bring sustain all the way to 0? Well, then we're just going to hear the attack and the decay. Attack, decay, and then it goes to 0 because, remember, attack is a period of time from here to here. Decay is a period of time from here to here. And if our sustain level is all the way at 0, then the decay is going to continue to decrease until it reaches the sustain level. In this case, we just selected 0 as our sustain level. Conversely, we could kind of eliminate the decay if we brought the sustain up 100%. because now what we're going to have is the exact opposite scenario, which is this. We have an attack, and then we have a decay, but the decay, remember, is the amount of time it takes to go from the full volume of the attack down to the sustain level. Well, if the sustain level is the same level right up here, then there really isn't a decay phase. We don't hear it. So in this case, there's our attack, our decay, there isn't one anymore, and our sustain continues to sustain until we release. No decay, didn't decay at all because the sustain is a level, remember. Drop it down, attack, decay, sustain, release. So you can see this is a really helpful and usable device. So that is attack, decay, sustain, and release. So far in our discussion about envelopes, we've talked about applying the ADSR envelope to volume. So we have affected the volume or amplifier of this particular sound. We can also take and apply this envelope to other things. For example, we could apply it to how our filter reacts over time. Let me give you an example. I have this same sound, and if I apply the ADSR envelope to the filter, which is what I'm doing now, I can have the filter gradually open over time. So it opens, and then as soon as it gets there, there's no decay, so it immediately drops to whatever the sustain level is of the envelope that's being applied to a filter. So I could take the same thing now, apply some decay. So you can see the filter is gradually opening, gradually decaying to its sustain level, and then I'm going to give it a little bit of release, so it takes about a half a second after it's released. Sustain level, and then release. You can hear, meow, it kind of does that. If I just get rid of the release, it'll immediately go to that final release sound because it releases so rapidly. So filters can also have envelopes applied to them, just like volume can have envelopes applied to them.